Hi, hello, good morning, and welcome to the Celebration Space. My name is Kaylee Phelps, and today we are talking about time management, specifically for procrastinators. And I wanted to talk about this subject because I know that there is a lot of burnout going on all over the country, the world, across industries. During the global health crisis, this is going live in October 2020. So a lot of people are managing a lot of different things, and stress, anxiety, election, all of these different things, and also not having natural boundaries around where they are working if they are working from home, and also having added distractions. So something I wanted to talk about was specifically for procrastination, mostly because procrastination is something that I have personally dealt with. I don't like to label myself a procrastinator. I spoke with my therapist, Pam, who is an incredible human being, and I like to use humor a lot to process things, and so I called myself a recovering perfectionist and was encouraged not to self-label. So I'm not going to call myself a procrastinator, but I am going to say that I've had some procrastination tendencies or procrastinator tendencies. So I want to talk a little bit about what procrastination is, and then go through the 4 types of procrastinators, and then a couple different things that I've been trying and that I'm trying to incorporate into my routine that might be helpful for you if you are going through any of the same things. So procrastination is the action of delaying or postponing something. Sorry, I have my notes over here, so I hope you don't mind. But yes, so that is something I would say throughout my life. I am someone who considers myself, I've always been very busy, even throughout high school and college. I always took very difficult classes. I always was an athlete and doing other things. I was on the newspaper. I volunteered at church. I babysat. I, did all of these different things. And, it really came back to I prioritized my homework and prioritized my time based on what was the most important thing that was in front of me. And I did a similar thing when I was in college, especially because I am someone that identifies as one of the 4 types of procrastinators. So I'll get to that in a second. But that is something that for me, and it's actually always worked. I've always usually gotten good grades. I've always gotten everything done. It's just maybe I put something off. Often the thing that I didn't want to do, and I didn't want to tell myself that I didn't want to do, but I waited until the last minute to get it done, and then got it off my list, and then performed in that way. So I did want to talk about, I did another video that you might want to check out that kind of goes in tandem with this subject, and it's tools to get organized for your week. So if you're someone who really just needs to get into a schedule and feels like you are struggling to get into that, that's something that you can definitely try and check out my resources and tools over there. Google Calendar saves my life often. My Show Up and Shine planner is amazing, and I do a lot of meal prep to try to get ahead of the week. And but I'm not going to talk about those things since I've already kind of gone into them. So I do want to talk about one of the main things that I have really been asking myself on the things that I've been procrastinating on is why? Why am I procrastinating on them, especially if I know that there's something that I need to get done? Maybe you have a really packed schedule, or you have a lot of distractions, or you are just not feeling lethargic and like you don't have, a lot of energy to get something done, or maybe you have a learning disability and that's another something that makes you feel like you're holding back because it's a lot of effort to get into something. But I want to talk about 4 types of procrastinators from accountability coaches. Their names are Ali Schiller and Marissa Boisvert from Accountability Works. And I thought this was really helpful, and it really helped me identify some of the things that I was seeing. Their article is from Business Insider, and I will definitely share it in the blog. So the 4 types, I'm going to start with all 4 types, and then I'll go through kind of some directives for each one. So the performer who works well under pressure. I feel personally attacked. That is definitely how I would describe myself. The self-deprecator who says, I'm just so lazy right now. The overbooker who says, I'm too busy to get something done right now. And the novelty seeker who says, I just had the best idea and gets distracted. So those are the 4 types. Maybe one of them resonates with you. I'm going to go through the 4 again, and then also some strategies that they suggested. So the performer who works well under pressure, they suggested that you should set a start date and focus on the start date rather than the end date. And that's because for a lot of people who consider themselves performers under pressure, they're focusing on the end date rather when to get started. The self-deprecator who says, I'm so lazy right now, they said that these are often the people who are not lazy. Often they're male clients who really are just hard on themselves and don't really feel like doing something at that time. So they suggested taking a break and letting yourself recharge before diving into a project. Third, we have the overbooker who says, I'm so busy. So that is really someone, I identify with this as well a little bit, where they create chaos and other things to do and other distractions in their lives, whether it's on their calendar or whether it's in their home, and maybe they lean into those distractions rather than sitting down and committing to diving in head first. So really just setting time aside and committing to diving in head first and carving out time on your calendar rather than letting your calendar control you. Then 4th is the novelty seeker who says, I just had the best idea. They describe this as having shiny object syndrome and really being someone who just gets really excited about a lot of different things and maybe gets distracted, kind of similarly to our last one. But they said only focus on one task at a time. If you have a great idea, really just focus on writing it down and starting a new idea after you have brought the current project to completion. So I hope that was helpful. I thought that it was really helpful for me just to go back to that why of being a procrastinator and like how I self-identify. And throughout the years, I've really just said, hey, I work really well under pressure. When I feel that there's a time crunch, I feel like I really stay focused and I don't focus on as many distractions. And I know that if I have a big test or a big paper or something, I will clear my schedule right before it, so the night before, the 2 or 3 days before, so that I can really stay in a one-track mind and just focus on that thing. So I have been trying to kind of mimic those strategies for myself. Outside of that, I think you can see it looks a little bit different in high school versus college, but I think that high school and college are looking very different right now than ever before. So maybe some of these strategies that I'm about to go into will also be helpful. Tyler from Buckingham Fitness, he did a conversation on how people will say that they don't have enough time to work out. And I thought that this was really powerful how he broke down the week. And he said you have 168 hours in a week, so 7 times 24. Then 56 of them should be sleeping if you're getting 8 hours per night. Maybe you're more on the 7-hour scale, maybe you're more on the 9-hour scale. If you have a new baby, if you have other things going on that are distracting from your sleep, or maybe you're on night shifts so you're not sleeping as much during the day, whatever it is, you can plug in your own number. But for these purposes, I'm going to say 56. And then if you are working 40 hours a week, that's another big chunk of your time. But even after from that 168, subtracting that sleeping time and that working time, you still have 72 hours, 3 full days of free time during that week. So I didn't factor in, and I don't think Tyler factored this in either, grocery shopping, chores, making meals, especially if you're a caretaker for children or, the elderly or other people in your home. But you have 72 hours outside of what you're normally doing, your, regularly scheduled events of sleeping and working, where you have the freedom to be able to schedule that time the way that you want, whether that is going to be working on a hobby, pursuing a goal, or doing something else. So more relaxing and recharging from what you have going on during those 40 hours a week or whatever you have. So I thought that was really a good way to look at your week and maybe a different perspective than what you've had previously. I know that it was very impactful for me. And another really cool thing that I saw Ed Milet speak at a virtual conference earlier this year. I believe it was in April. And he had a really cool idea. If you haven't heard of Ed Milet, please Google him. But he has podcasts and, YouTube videos and a ton of things on this subject. But one of the things that he likes to do is run mini days. So rather than focusing on one 8-hour work block, he breaks his day into 3 6-hour work blocks and tries to focus on fitness, family, I believe spiritualism, and work all within that 6 hours. So it's more of making time scarce so that you can really accomplish what you want to in those 3 different 6-hour chunks. So I believe he starts 5 a.m. to 11 a.m., then 11 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., and then the cycle repeats itself. So that's something I also wanted to put in there. If you check out my tools to get organized for the week, if you also want to work on making time scarce, or you're someone that really feels like they have a hectic schedule, or maybe you have a scheduling link for meetings and you need to just block out your calendar to focus on the projects that you need to focus on, and maybe make time scarce with your routine and plugging in, hey, from 6 to 8:30, I am doing my meditation, my reading, my journaling, whatever you are focusing on yourself. Or maybe it's your evening routine. I need to block off from 8 to 9 p.m. to do my yoga, to do my prayers, to do my meditation, whatever that is, and maybe blocking that off on your calendar and getting those alerts to your phone, or if you have a smartwatch, getting the alerts to your smartwatch will help trigger some habits and routines for you. I have tried doing things like setting alarms that are going to let me know when I should be moving on to the next thing. And I find that's really helpful for me, especially during this time where it feels like we have an abundance of time that I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but it feels like 2020 has simultaneously been the slowest year of my life, but also the fastest year of my life. So maybe you're like me and time is moving at an odd pace and you feel like you're in a time warp, but for me, it's really helpful to schedule out that time, but for you, it could be that your schedule is already so busy that you want to do an unschedule where you only put in the things that are necessary, and maybe you are going to say, hey, I can't join that group call because I typically don't contribute anything to it, and if I could get the meeting minutes, I'll read them in an email, or prioritizing different things and maybe not putting on working out on your calendar. Maybe you just have the ability to look at your schedule and then you write down afterward what you get done in your free time. So those are the different things that I wanted to outline as far as what the different types of procrastinators are, maybe why you've been procrastinating, or how you might feel like time is functioning a little bit differently in this odd time where we're staying home and it feels like we're in a time warp. And then also maybe try the strategies of creating a more rigorous schedule, or running mini days, or practicing the unschedule to see how that works best with your time. So if you have any other suggestions, please feel free to drop them below just so that we can share them with the community. Things that I might be able to try myself as well as I'm working through the type of procrastinator that I am. And that is all I have for you. Until next time, enjoy celebrating today.